Hello and welcome to the Grateful Podcast with Jack Wagoner. I'm your host, Jack Wagoner, and here we talk about how to build, create, share, and just find the gratefulness that's in your life and how to bring it to your everyday life to just feel happier, healthier, and better.
Hey,
overall.
And welcome back to
when you're
episode
grateful
4
for something,
of the
I
Grateful Podcast with me,
just
your host, Jack Wagoner.
the quality
It's
of
one
your
of my
life
favorite
and
times
how
of the
you're
week
feeling
when I
with
get to
yourself.
sit down
So
and record this podcast.
that is my
and
mission
just
with this podcast.
talk about what I'm learning. It's such a fun experience. So today we're going to be focusing on one specific topic, and that's how to build more love in your life. Now, we're not just going to be focusing on one form of love, but rather every single form of love that takes a place in our lives. Love can be present in any number of relationships, whether with a romantic partner, with your parents, with friends, with a sibling, with grandparents. Really, any relationship that you can think of fosters some type of love and connection. So it's very important. My one goal I have is to define love scientifically and emotionally, and then work from there to talk about how different environments and behaviors can foster a more loving person in yourself and other people around you, and what benefits living with more love can bring to your life. I'm going to do my best, as always, to stay factual, but also give my take on things, give my experiences and opinions, even though I guess as a 17-year-old, experience isn't really my expertise. But I'll try. To keep with the tradition on this podcast, I'm going to start off by talking about one thing that I'm feeling really grateful for this morning. And I think what I'm going to talk about today, it kind of keeps with the theme of today's podcast too, but just the love that I received from my parents and my family growing up, because I just think a lot about how that shaped me into this person that I am today. Those opportunities of just always feeling loved no matter what really did shape me into the person I am today. And that's why I have the compassion I do. So I'm really grateful for that all the time. I try to think about that a lot, but today, while I was getting ready to talk about this podcast, that really came up for me. So, thank you, family. So, let's jump into the podcast. How can we as humans build more love in our lives? So, to start from the very basics, what is love? All right, I'm not going to start jumping in this song, not going to be yelling, "Baby, don't hurt me" like Hadaway, okay? You can go watch people sing somewhere else, I guess. I was going to say me sing, but no, I don't think there's a place you can watch me sing. That's not my favorite, and that's not my expertise. My goal in this intro is to literally define what love is. Is it an emotion, a feeling, or is it even real or just in our heads? Now, Google defines love as an intense feeling of deep affection, but I don't know, does that simple phrase really define this complex thing? Does it do the work? Does it tell the whole story? Science says no. Before I jump into what I found on the science, I do want to make a little disclaimer. I'm not a scientist. I would love to become more knowledgeable about this, but what I really do, I'm just like you guys listening. I just read a bunch of different studies and took some notes. So I also didn't necessarily find all the answers I was looking for, because science still doesn't know all the answers. They're progressing just as we're learning too. So always stuff to learn, I guess. But a quick Google search for the biology of love will let you know that love is not easily defined. And you can even buy the book by Arthur Jones with the same title, Biology of Love. But what is it again? If there are biological processes, right? Love is a physical thing as well. It's not just an emotion. It's not just in our heads. That's what this biology of love means. Well, this means that there's a real physical aspect. What that means is not just the soft touch of a hand, a kiss, or a big hug from your mom when you're sad, but our bodies process this emotion. They process love with physical processes. For example, I've talked about dopamine here before, but there's something just like that you've probably heard of. It's very connected to love, and that's called serotonin, sometimes known as the love hormone. And I saw this nickname on Google yesterday, called it the cuddle chemical, and I thought that was a funny name, so I'd add that in there. One thing I wasn't aware of before researching this episode is that oxytocin's main job is actually to facilitate childbirth, and that creates one of the greatest love connections of all. So the main purpose, I guess the evolutionary purpose of oxytocin in our brains, especially in women, was to facilitate the childbirth process. Research has shown, one thing that I found was really cool and that had kind of evolved with oxytocin in humans, is that the presence of an infant actually seems to increase oxytocin levels in adults. So what that means is they're almost forcing the adults to love them while they are in the presence of this baby. And this works on the mom, but with the childbirth process, there is already a connection there. This works on the dad. This works on any other humans that are just around, like grandparents and all that. One thing I was not aware of before, I just read the same thing. So these babies are freaking smart. Like, I wish I had these qualities just right now. Yeah, love me. I'm forcing you to release oxytocin chemicals in your brain that love me. But that's evolutionary, because this process is a way of ensuring that babies were kept taken care of and not just left to die, as harsh as that sounds. Because that happened like so many times. If you're in a dire situation, if your tribe, if your pack doesn't have, we're not wolves, but you know what I mean, doesn't have enough food or resources, this baby could just be hindering your progress. This baby could not be beneficial for you, at least in your eyes. And so by forcing you to love it in a way, release oxytocin like this, you're forcing the tribe to keep you, and in that manner increase human population, right? And provide the opportunity for more reproduction in the future to keep the species going. That's eventually, like, in the end, that's what all evolution's about. It's just about survival and reproduction. So that's what all these bodily processes are. Oxytocin is not just about babies, however. It has been shown, like, oxytocin is a chemical that's very present in a lot of areas that we talk about with love. And it has very positive benefits, in fact, such as it's been shown to decrease stress and anxiety levels. And research shows it can have a positive impact on social behaviors related to relaxation, trust, and just overall psychological stability. That's what Stanford said, at least. So I trust them. Oxytocin is controlled via a positive feedback loop. So it's like receiving a positive compliment, or in babies, getting attention from their moms is what continues to release oxytocin. The highest ways of increasing oxytocin are actually exercise and touch. So you can do it yourself. I guess exercise, that shows it's a form of self-love. So if you want to increase your love, exercise and touch as well, which is interesting. So recently, however, there have also been studies that have shown other ways to increase oxytocin that we normally associate with love in general, such as eye contact and compliments. If you ever get annoyed by someone that loves touching you, Sadie, my sister, just remember that if you let them touch you, it'll increase your oxytocin and make you more loving. All right? So just remember that next time mom tries to give you a massage. With all this talk about oxytocin, I think I shouldn't forget that it's not the whole story. In fact, there are a lot more components to this whole concept of love, such as dopamine and vasopressin, but I'm really not qualified to talk about the science of it all, and it's all a little complicated for me to understand, let alone explain articulately. I'm not sure how well I did even with the little information I got. What I can take away from reading all this is that love is not an easily defined concept, and scientists are still trying to figure out exactly what it is. But it is emotion or feeling that can also take a physical form, or does take a physical form in biological processes, and is caused by other people and their actions in our lives. Love is almost always seen to be positive and is correlated to overall happiness and fulfillment in life. More love equals less depression and less stress in life. Less depression, less stress in life equal normally a happier life. So, love is good for us. We all would want love in our lives. It would make us all happier, less stressed, fulfilled, and have a better sense of purpose. I think that's all what we want in our lives. But how do we do this? How do we create more love in our lives? How do we ensure that our brains are squirting out more oxytocin? Well, Seneca, an ancient Stoic philosopher, he said, if you wish to be loved, love. As we move into the second part of this podcast, I want to pose this question to introduce the subject. When you were first born, did you feel love for your parents? Think about it for a second. The first minutes you were born, did you feel love for your parents? Your dad, in fact. Let's switch it to your dad. Because you had love with your mom. Like, you were with her for a long time in the womb. And of course you don't remember this. This is just a question I'm trying to get you thinking. I think no. Now, I didn't read about this, so I could be wrong, honestly. But you had to learn to love your parents, especially your dad, because he didn't have all that time with you. Right? You had to learn to love them. And how did you learn to love them? Because they loved you. They loved you so much that you grew comfortable and you grew loving back. It was reciprocated. When we're babies just out of the womb, there's a lot going on, right? Just imagine being able to remember that moment and you see the light and stuff. And when we're there, we don't have time to love our parents right away. I guess it's kind of true. They're complete strangers to us, right? And again, maybe not our mom. I want to read about this more, but I think that you already do have a connection with your mom, as I was talking about with the whole childbirth oxytocin thing. However, as time goes on, we receive a lot of love from our parents, and we learn to genuinely love them back. This really goes for dads because the mothers spend a lot of time with the baby. They develop a physical connection we talked about a little bit earlier, but the dads have to earn the love by being loving. I think that's just an amazing metaphor for how you can work about fostering more love in your life. If the dad is a complete jerk, this baby, never really even there, like, is the baby gonna love the dad back? No, the baby won't even know the dad, right? If someone is being a complete jerk to you, like, are you gonna love them? Are you gonna be really, really kind to them back? Odds are no. It goes back to the kindergarten golden rule we learned. It was treat people how you would like to be treated. If you want people to love you in your life, you have to love them. If you want people to be compassionate towards you, you have to be compassionate towards them. You have to build these skills. You have to build this trust. You have to build almost a rapport for yourself about how you are kind and compassionate in order to receive that back to yourself. Honestly, those kindergarten teachers had some amazing wisdom with that golden rule. Another part of this is conformity. So I find that people that conform or try to conform to social norms are normally not as well liked or don't end up building the same amount of love in their lives because they're not being true to themselves. When you're true to yourself, that really brings out an attractive trait that not everyone has. And you're really just being you, and you're not asking so much for attention. When you're so in need of love that you try to conform to everyone else's standards and everyone else's ways, that's going to be easily seen through, and people are going to dislike that more than they like that. When you're so in need of love, the best thing that you can do is you have to be kind to those people, be yourself, and be patient, as hard as that is. It's so difficult, I think, but it's true. I had moments in my life where I've very much been a conformative person. I try to conform to social ideas, do things other people are doing, and I thought that would help me. I thought that would help me bring better friendships to my life with more love and all that. But no, it did the exact opposite. It does the exact opposite. It might seem like it's growing the friendships closer, but it's in a fake way, and you know that in yourself. When I stopped doing that and I just became I just started being exactly who I am and being kind and compassionate to everyone around me, I developed the greatest relationships in my life. That's how that works. You have to be yourself, kind and compassionate, and that's how you get that love back. It's an investment because maybe it is difficult at times. In fact, it is extremely difficult at times to be kind and compassionate to everybody. But it's an investment. What you will get in return is so much better, so much more valuable to everything in your life. I'm thinking about the movie 42 about Jackie Robinson with Chadwick Boseman. Rest in peace, Chadwick. That man was one of my favorite actors. Man. But in the story of 42, or in Jackie Robinson's biography. I'm not sure if you guys are even familiar with this. I hope you are, because Jackie Robinson was an absolute legend. But he was the first black baseball player in Major League Baseball. He broke the color barrier in 1949 with the Dodgers, the Brooklyn Dodgers at the time. And it was crazy. There had never been a black, in the modern era, there had never been a black baseball player in the major leagues. And the hate he received was awful. But if you watch the movie, you see that his biggest thing is the owner of the Dodgers tells him to say nothing, to just be kind, to stay calm. And that's what he did. And people still hated him, right? People would still throw hate, but they're not getting the reaction they want. He's staying himself, and in that way, he built relationships and kept stronger relationships than if he had gone crazy. It goes back to stoicism and controlling what you can control. Love is so important in our lives. When you're older, I think about when I'm 85. What am I going to wish I had more of in my life? I feel like everyone's always going to feel like they could have had more love, because love honestly opens so many doors. Having good, stable relationships with the people in your life just leads to so many more opportunities. It goes back to when I said what I was grateful for this morning, the love I received as a child, and that I still receive to this day. I don't want to look over that. That implants something in me that makes me a more loving person myself, that gives me more confidence to be who I am. As it's all a cycle, right? Because I talked about being who you are to get more love as well. But because I had received that love from people that were doing the same thing, I was able to do the same thing. I had confidence to do the same thing because I'm not searching more love, because I have enough in my life. When you have enough love in your life, you feel confident to go after your dreams. You feel confident to do the things that you want to do with your life, because you know that you will have those people there for you that are supporting you through it all. It's an amazing feeling. And think about how amazing that would be to be that person for other people, right? Just have all that oxytocin shooting through your brain, supporting these other people in your life. Love is honestly maybe the most important thing in modern human lives. For fulfillment, for purpose, for happiness. Everything we're searching for can come from this. And it's not easy. Not easy at all. But it's the greatest feeling when you have relationships that you know nothing's going to happen to them. When you feel so good with your parents or so good with a friend, it's the greatest feeling. I think it's what, honestly, a lot of people that feel lost are missing. Just that trust in another person. So again, how can you get this? Like I said, you can get this love in your life by being the person you want in your life. You can get this love in your life by dishing out love to every single person you see. It's contagious. Pay for the person behind you in line. Smile at someone, ask them how you're doing, how they're doing. And you'll see changes start to happen in your life. You'll feel happier with yourself too. When you just dish out all this love, it's proven that you feel more purposeful and happy inside yourself because you're giving other people love. You're giving it to other people as well. When you feel abundantly loved, it gives you the opportunity to abundantly do things with confidence. You have the people that support you. You have the people that stay by you through anything. And it gives you the confidence to take those risks and create your life as you choose. I feel so confident in my core relationships that I was able to take a massive step and move to France for 10 months during my junior year of high school, where I am right now. And if I didn't have the love around me, supporting me through my actions, I probably wouldn't be here. I probably wouldn't be starting a podcast, right? I probably wouldn't have my YouTube channel. A lot of people just don't have the courage to take the first step in something because of the fear of failure. But I believe that if they had a loving environment around them that would just pick them up when they fall down, they'd be more confident to just do it. Not wearing Nike, I was going to show something. I feel love for all of humankind, or at least that's what I'm trying to foster. In all this, I'm trying to spread love to as many people as I freaking can, man. I want everyone to feel it. We're here together on this earth, and I'm trying to help you guys out. And you guys should try to help each other out too. We're here to love each other. Talking about spreading love, I have this thing I'm doing with my mom right now. It's called the Spread Love 365 Day Challenge. You can go check it out on Instagram. I put the link in the bio here. And it's awesome. It's a challenge where every day for the next year, we are putting a challenge each day about one thing you can do to spread love. For example, the day I'm recording this, I'm making it have an interesting response to how you're saying, how are you? For example, someone says, yo, how you doing today? I'm doing absolutely awesome, man. And you? Think about that. It just surprises them. And it's so positive and awesome. If you can do one thing like this, one of our challenges every day, I think you're going to feel more loving and better with yourself inside, just like we've talked about today. All right, so I've used a lot of sources in this podcast, and I'll link those down below as well. I seriously thank you so much for listening and watching, however you consume this podcast. I'm so grateful for you, my listeners, and I really hope that you can foster some more love in your life and that this helped you out. I love you guys so much, and I can't wait to do this again next week. Bye. I hope that you enjoyed listening to this episode of the Grateful Podcast with Jack Wagoner. If you like the podcast and would like to support its growth, please consider subscribing to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also check out my YouTube channel under my name and see all of the positive content that I've put out there. Thank you so much, and I hope to get to see you next week. Love you all. Bye.